Alright, so guys, you're welcome to Darko Lab, and this is an AI bootcamp specifically made for anyone who is interested in what? AI, data science, machine learning, and what? Python. So if you're one of these folks, then you're welcome to my channel and you're welcome to my platform. This is Darko Lab, and my name is Dennis Darko, and currently I'm working as a machine learning engineer, and I'll be happy to take you through all these lessons when it comes to AI. Okay? Alright. Now, on Monday, right, we learned so many things. We're looking into file operations where we look at read and write of files. Now, this is one aspect when it comes to file handling in Python. Okay? When it comes to file handling, the key word is what? File. In terms of file, it can be any form. It can be CSV, TXT, which is text. It can be CSV, which is comma separated what? Values. It can be Excel, okay? It can be PDF. It can be bin. It can be what else? What else? So name it. So all you need is we handle these kind of files, okay? And you can use Python to manage all these things. And on Monday we look into, or on our previous sessions, we look into what the read and write of what these type of file extensions that we have. And you guys saw how amazing we were able to use the package and also the method, which is the open method. And then we make it as an object here, and we were able to what? Get these kind of what? Extract, let me say extract, or get the information from that particular file, right? And in our process of extracting or getting the information, that is where we use the inbuilt function called what? Read. Okay? Alright. And for us to be able to also write, we use the inbuilt function, which is what? The write. Get a logic? So those are the key things. Okay? And I gave you guys some exercises to work on, and I'm hoping to get it on the Discord. So kindly post it on Discord for me, and I'll be happy to see you there. So today we are going to look at what we call file path. Okay? So I'll create my notebook, file path.ipymb. Okay? So now this file path, let me select my kernel. Let me zoom in a bit. Let me zoom in. Is it okay? I think this should be good. Let me go back a bit. I guess it's okay. Alright. So let me select my kernel. I've selected my kernel. And now what we are going to look at is we are going to look into what we call file path. Okay? So we are looking at what? Am I typing it correct? Working with file path. Okay? So this is what we are going to look at. Working with file path. And basically, working with file path is something that if you know, or if you want to get the directory or the path of a particular file, you need to know how you can handle these things. Okay? And Python is so amazing that you can do this with Python easy and simple. You understand? And as you saw yesterday or on Monday, you saw how we were able to handle, in terms of the file, how we can handle them, read and write these files, get the data or the information on these files, right? And today we are looking at the file path itself, where we are saying that working with files in Python in terms of you handling these file paths are very crucial. So you need to be aware that it ensures your code works across different like OS operating systems. Okay, so for you need to make sure that these kind of file paths and all that works across these different kinds of operating systems. And you have so many operating systems. We have the Mac OS, we have the Windows, we have the Linux and all that, right? So you need to be careful in terms of you getting the file path of your project, and based on that you can get a directory, and then you can work on it. You understand? It's very important in terms of you running commands on the terminal and all that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to teach you how you guys can use the OS module or the OS, okay, which is one of the beautiful package, okay. So I'm going to teach you guys how you can work with file path. Okay. So let's look at using the OS module. Okay. Let's look at how we can use this OS module or package. It's the same thing, module or package, the same thing. Okay. So let's look at how we can use the OS module. All right. Now we can have something like this: import OS. Right. Now with this our import, this becomes what? Our package, isn't it, or the module. All right. Now this is an inbuilt package or module, okay, which is OS. Now with the help of this OS, we can get a current working directory. That is the first thing. With the help of this OS package or module, we can get a first or current what? Working directory. So I can say os.what. So what am I getting? The current directory. So I need to search for the inbuilt what? Inbuilt function that has that kind of capability of helping me to get a current directory. And that will be get current working directory. Okay, like this. Okay, so all that I'm going to do is os get current working directory, and that's it. So once I run this, I will be able to get a current working directory. Okay, and all that I need to do is, for me to be able to print the current working directory, I just want to assign it to what? A variable. I can say get underscore working underscore directory. Okay, and then I'll assign it to this. So any variable is fine. Then when I come here, I can then print this current what? Directory here. See? So once I run this, you see I'm getting a current directory. So C, I'm on drive C, and then on drive C, I have a folder there called what? File underscore handling. So you see, let's go and check if that is true. So let's check if that is true. Okay, let me put it here. Okay, so let's go to drive C. So this is our drive C, right? So when I go to drive C, let's see if it's correct. So you see, I have a folder there called file handling. This is it. So we've been able to get a current what? Working directory. Get the logic, guys? We've been able to get a current working directory with the help of this package, OS or this module, okay? And with the help of what? This what? Inbuilt function, get current working directory. Okay? Alright. Now, let's look at another one. Let's look at how we can create our own directory. Now we know how we can get the current directory, but let's look at how we can create our own. Okay, so let's look at how we can create. Let's look at how we can create a new directory. Okay. Now for us to be able to create a new directory, now let's first give our directory a name, isn't it? Because let's say for instance you want to create a folder here. Once you say, okay, right click, new, then you say new folder, isn't it? So that folder, then you give it a name, right? So the same thing applies to when we are working on a project. We want to create a directory. And in a directory, let's say we are currently on this project. See, file handling. Inside this project, let's say we want to create a new directory, which will be a folder. Automatically, the directory automatically what? A folder. You understand? So it's basically called folders. Okay, so now let's create a new directory. Okay, now with this new directory, let's say we have to give it a name. So let's assign to a variable new directory is equal to. So what should be the name? Yes, at the comment section, guys. Let's go at the comment section. What should be our new directory name? What should be our new directory name? At the comment section, let's go. What should be our new directory name? Let's go at the comment section. Let's go. Solution. Okay, so our current directory is going to be solution. Darko Lab. Okay, so let's use solution. Okay, so let's use solution. So now with this solution, we are creating a new directory. So what will we do? So we are going to use, with the help of this module or package, OS, here, I can just say os dot. Okay, I can just say os dot. And now, the moment you hear of dot, once you bring your package, you need to go and get a specific one inbuilt function. But because sometimes, I don't know, sometimes the pop-up comes, sometimes it doesn't come. But today you're seeing that it's not popping up, but you know it will load all the inbuilt packages or functions within this OS package. So all you need here is to just get that inbuilt function. And this is just a directory. So we are trying to create or make a directory. So all that I will say is that mkdir, okay, which is an inbuilt function. You see, mkdir. And what directory am I going to make? I'm going to make this particular name. So I want to see this particular name here. So I will just copy this variable name like this and paste it here. See how we code, okay? And then now with this variable name, once I run this code, I'll be able to make a new folder here called solution. Simple, okay? And all that I need to do is I want to print it. So the reason I'm bringing the print is I want to show it here as well. So I'll say print into bracket. What am I printing? So I'm going to print what? The new directory. So it's the same thing. I'll just copy the new directory and paste it. See the flow? It's very simple, guys. You don't need to rush in programming. You need to understand that. You need to understand what you're doing. You need to define the problem. Currently, our problem is we want to create a new directory. And in creating a new directory, the name is solution. And I told you that directory basically means what? A folder. Okay? So it's either you are getting the folder or you are creating a folder. And now this directory, you saw we get the current working directory. We're using this inbuilt function with the help of our OS package, okay, or module. Some people call it module, so you let me make it module for you guys. So you can make it module or package, the same thing. Now we get this current working directory here. Now we want to also be able to create our own working directory. That is why you guys are seeing we assign it to a variable. The folder is solution. We make a directory with the help of this make directory inbuilt function, okay? And then now what we are doing is we just want to see it here, and at the same time when we run we will see it here. Simple. Okay guys, so let's run this. So you see solution. So do we have our folder here? So you see we have a folder here called what? Solution. You see it's very simple and easy to understand. You just have to understand the flow, and this you don't need to chew anything. You just have to understand it, and anytime, even once you woke up, you can write this code. Okay? Alright. Now let's look at how we can list files and directories. Okay? Let's look at how we can list files and directories. So let's look at how we can list a file and a directory. Okay? And it's also very simple. All that we need to do is we want to list a particular file or a particular directory. So all that I'll use the os dot, because I've already imported it here. There's no need of me repeating this same code here and here. Once I've run this, Jupyter Notebook, which we've integrated in VS Code, understands it already. Okay, so there's no need of you copying the entire import OS and pasting it here and pasting it here. That's bad programming. Always your imports are at the top, and you can use it. Once you run it, you can use it anywhere within that particular environment. Okay. Now os dot what? We are listing a directory. So list directory. You see how I'm doing it? List directory. You see? List directory. And then it's an inbuilt function. So we bring our open and close bracket, which is very simple, guys. And then now, because we want to get all the directories, so what we will do is we will put the quotation, then we use the dot. This dot means that you want to get all the current working directories. Okay, you want to list all of them, all the directory or the files. So you want to get all the files in your directory. That's why you're using the dot. It's like you are on the command prompt. Okay, it's like you're on the command prompt like this, and you write a get command to use to say get status. So for instance, if I come here and I use a command like, let's say let's wait for a few minutes. All right. So if I go around here and I just type something like this, get status like this, it might not work because I've not connected this into a Git platform. But what I want you guys to understand is, if I say get status, it will pull up all the files here that I have made changes to it, right? And when I say get add and I use the dot like this, it means that I'm adding all the files that I made changes to it. Same concept, we come here, we are saying that if you want to list all files in a directory, you use the list directory package, inbuilt function, sorry guys. And then inside the inbuilt function, you pass an argument, a string argument called dot, this one. The dot means that you want to list all the files in that particular directory. It's as simple as that. Okay? The dot here means you want to list all the files in a particular directory. Okay? Alright. And it's very simple. The flow is cool. All you need to understand, once you wake up, you can even teach someone. So let's run this. But because I want to print and also see them here, I always tell you. So I'll assign it to a variable. So let's say let's assign it to a variable called, let's say, items is equal to this. Then now I can print this item here. I come here, I say print. Inside the print, I put the items here. So you see how I'm bringing the code. Now I'm going to list all of this here. So let's see. You see, example bin is here, example text is here, example copy.txt, where is it? Is this. So you see all the files are coming up, right? All the files. We have file operation.ipynb, which is this one, and then file path.ipynb, which is this one. Let's look at the next one. We have solution, which is this file folder solution. We have vmvn, which is virtual environment, this one. So you see, I have listed all this. You see, I've listed all this. If you want to see it well, let me do something like this. I think I can add something like this. Okay, it should be inside each. So we run. Okay, it doesn't accept that because it accepts only string argument. Okay, all right. So what I want you guys to understand is example of being that. So this is how we can list all files in our directory. You understand? Okay, so ask a question. Do you need to use a for loop to print all the files? Yeah, it depends on the problem you are solving. Okay, so it depends on the problem. You can use for loop, you can use a condition, you can use anything. It depends on what you're doing. Me currently, I just want to list all the files. That's why I'm just assigning it to a variable using the list directory inbuilt function. Okay, so you can use a for loop. You can loop into it and get specific files. You understand? So it's also accepted. You can use if conditions. If you know your file names, you can use conditional statements to get these files. That sometimes you know the file names, you don't want to list all of them and then now decide which one to pick. No, sometimes you know the names already. You can use conditions, you can use for loop to loop over them and search for them and then iterate. And then you can get it. You can get the files that you need. Okay? Yeah, that's a good question. So that's it, guys. So let's move on to how we can also join them. Okay? Please, if you have any question, you can type it in the comment section, or once I'm done in a few minutes, you can request and I'll be glad to respond to you. So basically what we are doing today is we are looking at file path, and let's look at how we can join path. So joining path. Okay, joining path. Now this one is very simple. The joining path is more like you have a folder, you have a file. Okay, so inside the folder, so for instance, this example I showed you guys, you see inside this folder called file handling, we have files, isn't it? So these are the files and these are the folder. You see? So this is the file, this is the folder. So how can we join? So let's see how we join them. Okay, so it's very simple. Let's say let's see how we join them. Let me make it simple for you guys. Okay, so let's have a variable name called directory underscore name, okay, which is going to be our folder name, right? Directory underscore name. So what should be the folder name? Let's say the folder name is going to be AI Bootcamp. Okay, let's say the folder is going to be AI Bootcamp, right? Let me make a double quotation so we don't face any, we don't usually consume memory and all that. Now the next one is, let's give a file name as well. So file underscore name is equal to, so what should be our file? Let's say Python underscore track, okay, dot, so Python underscore track dot, let's use any extension, any file extension, so let's say txt. Okay, now once we have this, you see now this will be a folder directory name. I told you directories are basically folders, and then file, file is a file. All right, so this will be our file, and now what we need to do is we want to join these two paths, this one path, this another path. How do we join them? It's very simple. We will use the os package or module. We say os dot, then we use what? Where do we get them? First, this is a folder. Guys, the logic is here again. Packages and modules logic. Let's check. This is the folder. Inside this folder, we want to store this python track.txt inside this folder. Okay, so I will show you this example. It's like I created this folder, okay, and inside this folder, I want to what? What do I want to do? I want to have a file inside. So all that I need to do is here, okay, we already have a folder here, so no need of me even using AI Bootcamp. So let's say solution. Okay, so inside this solution, I want to see this Python what? Track txt. Get the concept? So all that I need to do is os on what? Where am I going? I'm going to the path of this solution, and then inside it I join like this, which is an inbuilt what? Function in path. Inbuilt function in what? Path. And path is what? A package or a module in Python. Take note. Okay, path is a package or a module in Python. And I want to have a folder. Within that folder, I want to create what? I want to have a file name called Python and all that. So the solution, the name, and all that comes. Now, inside this join, I need to pass two parameters. Yes, at the comment section, what should be the parameters inside this join that will make our arguments strong? How would we pass? What parameters are we going to pass to make our argument of joining the directory and then the file strong? What parameters are we going to pass? Yes, at the comment section, let's go. At the comment section, what will be our parameters? At the comment section, what will be our parameters? Let's go, guys. What will be our parameter inside the argument we want to make? Roger says solution, no. Sami said folder name, file name. Yes, folder name, file name, correct. So what's the folder name? The folder name is directory name. You pass it here. Very good, Sami. And then the file name here, you pass it here. As simple as that. You see? So these two are called parameters. And when they are inside like this, we call it arguments. Take note. So when you are making an argument, you pass parameters. That's how programming works. If you understand these logics, when we are dealing with object-oriented programming, which is classes and all that, you guys will be strong. Okay? Alright. So you see how I did it? Directory name, file name, I pass them here to make my argument of what? Joining them. So this is an argument I want to make. And for my arguments to be strong, I need two parameters. And those two parameters are the solution and then the Python track. And I'll assign them to what? A variable name called this and this. So this becomes our object. And with this object, we can use it anywhere. That is why when we get to object-oriented programming, you guys will be good. All right. So now all that I need to do is just, what do I do? We want to see it below. So let's print as well. We are done with the code. But since we want to see, let's assign this entire line of code, okay, to what we call what? Full underscore path is equal to this. Now let's run. So we get this here and we print the path, the full path. We run. You see, we go to solution, we will see this. So let's see. So you see, we've gotten the path here, and we can create this one as well to be inside this. So you see how we join? So you can join, and you see when you go to solution, there will be a file called Python track. But since we didn't create it inside, which we can create like how we created it here. Where is it? How we created it here. You see? So we can create it inside. Okay, and it's very simple. So let's look at how we can know if a particular file exists and all that. Okay, so it's very simple, guys. You can join these things depending on that. So if you want to get these directories, you can use the join to get all of them, and you can join them and know where your paths are and all that. It's the same concept of you being here and trying to run new folder. Inside the folder, you create a file and all that. But when you get a job and you are using Linux platforms and all that, you don't get this kind of opportunities like this. So most of the time you code, you write commands, you get a logic, so you need to understand these things. Okay. Let's look at one last aspect. We call it let's set some if condition and see if you can be able to understand this. Let's see how we can check. Okay, checking if a path is a file or directory. Okay, so we are going to use a conditional statement to check if a particular path is a file or a directory. So it basically means that it's either a file or a folder. Okay, so we are going to check if a path is a file or a directory. So let's see, it's very simple. We've already imported our OS, so all that we need to do is just give an example of what? A particular file. So let's say this a file. What file do we have? We have the example.txt. So let's use the example.txt. Okay, and this is a string, so I'll put it in the quotation mark. So you see, this is the file, and this I can assign it to a path. So I'll say path is equal to this. Now once I know the path that I'm going to check, so I'm going to check if a path is a file or a folder. So once I know this, let's check. So if os dot path dot, you see how I'm doing it? We just did it here. You see, but we're not going to use the join. First, we are checking if os.path, if the path, okay, of the file. So if the path, you see how I'm speaking in English? If the path of the file. So it basically means that if os.path.isfile is file, which is an inbuilt function, then inside this we pass this. So we are checking because we need to pass it. We are checking, we are checking this particular file, that if it's a file or a folder, you understand? And I'm saying that we've assigned it to a variable name called path, so we can use it anywhere. And I'm saying that if os, which is a package, dot path, which is also a module, dot is a file, then we are checking. If it's a file, then what do we do? So if it's a file, what do we do? Then we print. We just print what? We just print the path. So instead of we print the path, we'll do this, then we'll do something like this. Okay? And then inside it will say the path. The path. So let's do something like this. You guys remember these things, right? Then we will say the path. Then outside I bring another one like this. and that's it. Then I will say outside, and I will say is a file. Else, if, sorry, I need to bring it here. If, so if what? No, let me just add it so it becomes simple for if os dot path dot is a directory. Okay, if it's a directory, don't worry, I'll explain the code. So if os.path is a directory, then what do? We pass the path, the same here. Then what do? We are going to print something. So I'll copy the same thing here, so I don't have to type again. Paste it here, and I'll say the path is a into a file. Say directory. Okay, and now what I'll do is the last one will be else. If I don't meet the first and the second condition, then I'll say else. What do? Else we are going to print the path is neither what? Is neither a file or a directory. This is a simple programming, like basic programming. So we are checking if a path is a file or a directory. Okay, and now here we just said path, which is our variable name, is assigned to this particular. So this is the file we wanted to use for our test. Now if this file, we are checking if os.path.isfile into bracket path, which means that go to the package. Which is the package? Which one is the package? The entire directory is the package. When you go there, go to path. Any of this becomes our path. Now check if it's a file. This thing, check if it's a file. If it's a file, then print the path is a file. Else, if, so this is another condition we are setting here. If it doesn't meet this, check again if it's a directory. If it's a directory, which is basically if it's a folder. Okay, so if it's a folder, then print the path is a folder, it's a directory. Okay, else then it's neither a file or a directory. It's as simple as that. And when we run this, we should get the path example.txt. It's a file, and it's true, it's a file. You see how programming works? It's a file. It's as simple as that. Okay, guys, let's look at another one. Let's look at how we can get getting the absolute path. Okay, how we can get the absolute path. So basically, when we say absolute path, we have relative path, absolute path, and all that. How we can get those kind of path. So let's say the same thing. Let me copy this here, so we don't waste time. Because you guys are using the internet and all that. So let's say here, and then instead of path, let's assign to a different variable. Let's say relative. Okay, relative underscore path. Okay, it's assigned to this. And now, what do? We are going to use our OS, right? So os dot we get a path dot, what do we get again? Absolute. So abs path. So this is another inbuilt function in Python. That's why I told you guys to read a lot on this. The last time I showed you guys here, where is it? I showed you here, when you go here, you go to W3 school here, accept, come here. Let me zoom in a bit for you guys. We come to Python, we come here. So we are looking for this. We are looking for this path, abs path, okay? So we come here, abs path, which will be, I think, below, should be somewhere. This is references, should be somewhere here. This methods, QS, file methods. Let's see this. Yeah, it's supposed to be somewhere here. Writing. See, you see, we've learned this, read and all that. See, there are a lot. So all you need is just to read, guys. Read them, read more. I cannot teach you all the inbuilt packages and modules. Okay. I'm looking for one that we can use. The other one. It's supposed to be no module, random module, math module, um, built-in function. Yes, we're supposed to get it here. ABS path, absolute path. So I don't know if I can make a search. Let me see. ABS path search. Okay, W3 module OS. Okay, okay, let's go there. Okay, so you see how I'm able to go there and get it. So you see os.abspath should be here, should be somewhere here. You see all the get working directory. You see there are a lot, guys. You need to read. So supposed to be at the beginning column. Okay, maybe they didn't sort it out. So you see how difficult it is to find, to look for it and all that. Yeah, so look for it here, guys. You can go to W3 school and you can research on a lot of these things. See? So once we use this abs.path, all we need is path this relative path. Already we have, this becomes our relative, this is already a relative path here, and we want to get the absolute path and all that. So we get its absolute path by using the relative path. Okay? And it's very simple. We can print, we can assign to this absolute underscore path is equal to this. Then we can copy the absolute path and print it here. And print it inside here. Then we can run this. And then we get our absolute. So you see, check this one. First, it was just, this is the relative path. This was just relative. You see how we get the absolute path? You see file handling. Inside, we are looking for this file. So let's say, for instance, we are going to do data analysis and then we have the CSV here. Okay? If we have the CSV here, this is how we can get a CSV. You see? We assign the CSV name to a variable like this, relative path. And then based on that, we use this absolute path for inbuilt function to get it. And then we can read from this anytime. You see? It's very, and I've taught you how you can read from this particular file. Easy. Okay. So guys, we are done for today, and that is the end of this session. If you have any question, you can request and come up. Thank you so much.